Welcome to the Bryan Municipal Utilities Board meeting for December 30th. If you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. John, would you call roll, please?
I will. Karen Ford.
Present.
Annette Schreiner.
Here.
Jim Salsbury.
Yes, here.
Dick Long.
Present.
Bob Eyre.
Yes.
All present.
Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the December 17th, 2024 meeting. Are there any corrections? Seeing none, motion to approve, please.
I'll make a motion.
I will second.
Bob.
Yes.
Annette.
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Jim. And Dick.
Yes.
Item 4 on the agenda is a hearing of public concerns. Seeing none, we'll go to item 5, a resolution to approve change order and final order for the 2025 International Terex Digger Derrick. Derrick? Adam?
I'll read it first.
John? I'm sorry, number and read, please.
Resolution number 35, 2024, authorizing a change order and final for the purchase of the International HD 507 SFA Terex 4x4 Digger Derrick from Terex Utilities Incorporated.
Just a little bit of background information. Resolution 29, 2021 approved the purchase of a 2023 International Digger Derrick, and that was through Sourcewell's purchasing program. The total cost was $273,749, and this replaced the 2001 Freightliner Digger Derrick. The board later approved change order 1 by resolution 7 in 2022, and that was an increase in the cost of the outriggers, and there was also a commodity surcharge that International had issued, so that totaled about $24,000 of an increase. That approved total then was $297,760. Resolution 2, 2024, approved change order number 2. That was an increase of about $12,000 in the model year. It went from a 2023 to a 2025. There was also some emissions updates, rear axle and tire changes. That change order approved the total cost at $309,928. As I mentioned earlier this month, the electric department did take delivery. It's in service now. This change order would approve the final cost of $304,576. It's a decrease of about $5,000. Some of the accessories were removed from the final build, and there was also a reduction in the commodity surcharge. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. If not, I would request that you approve the final change order for the 2025.
I have a question. I see that we go through a company called Sourcewell, and I also see at a time that the Department of Ohio Transportation gets involved in these bid processes and purchases. What's the background there? Sourcewell, I mean, it's a government entity out of Minnesota. Are they like a group that goes out and reviews the bids? Or how does that work, I guess?
I guess I can't explain exactly how they work.
I can
Okay.
So Sourcewell is one of several nationwide operations that do pretty much exactly what you described, Bob. The Ohio Revised Code allows governmental entities to use these third-party operations who go out to bid, who request bids on all kinds of equipment, and governments get involved in purchasing. And so the state of Ohio has its own bidding process that you can tap into, but if they don't have the specifications that you're looking for, and one of these other third-party bid operations does, and Sourcewell is one of them, then the state of Ohio considers that they have done the bidding, they've done the work, they've come up with the best price for you, and subdivisions in the state of Ohio are allowed to use those results. So we join Sourcewell. I don't know if there's a fee involved. There are multiple operations like Sourcewell.
Yeah, when I was reading the contract, and I saw Sourcewell, and I also saw the Department of Transportation Ohio, and looking at Sourcewell, I mean, it's located, Minnesota is the state there, and I thought, well, how does Minnesota get involved with Ohio? So it was kind of curious to me, it's just how that worked, that's all.
Yeah,
Many co-ops
Yeah.
go together
Okay, I mean, yeah, I mean,
to join for
if you
purchasing.
pool resources, obviously, you're gonna get more there. But okay, that makes sense to me. I figured they kind of were an entity that did a lot of, where they did massive bidding out, and there was probably a lot of trust, especially the state of Ohio, with them too as well.
yeah. And certainly the state of Ohio, ORC blesses the whole
You're right,
the whole
okay.
process.
Thank you. Another nugget of knowledge.
And I did see that we were getting a $9,000 trade-in allowance on the old one, so that's good.
Anything to add? Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Bob?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
And Jim?
Yes.
Item 6 on the agenda is a resolution to authorize the purchase of a 2026 Altec International Bucket Truck and waiving the competitive bidding process. John, would you please number and read?
Yes, resolution number 36, 2024, authorizing the purchase of a 2026 Altec International Bucket Truck through Sourcewell and the Ohio Department of Transportation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 9.48, thereby waiving the competitive bidding process prescribed by Ohio Revised Code 127.16B1.
So the,
Derek, may I
Yep.
interrupt you? I do not have that resolution.
So it took me a minute to find it too. It's between the Terex and the Sourcewell. Do you want to share this one? I think it's stuck between pages. Yeah. There it is. It's right after the Terex invoice. I have it with me.
Thank you.
Keep going, Dick. Right there.
Oh, there it
That
is.
was-
Oh, stuck in there. I'm sorry.
so yeah, again, this resolution would authorize the purchase of a 2026 Altec bucket truck. This is approved in the 2024 budget. We would like to make this acquisition using the cooperative purchasing programs of Sourcewell and the state contract. Sourcewell would be utilized to purchase Altec model AN 55, or a 55-foot articulating over center aerial device, all other associated equipment, and a 4-year extended warranty with an estimated cost of $269,903. We'd like to utilize the state contract to purchase the 2026 International Cab and Chassis at an estimated cost of $97,791. A total estimated cost of $367,694. The 2024 budget does include $400,000 in appropriations for this purchase. This would replace truck number 2, which is the 2012 Altec 55-foot unit. These bucket trucks are typically replaced every 10 to 12 years as they roll every day, and they're essential to maintaining the electric system. In September, the electric department did demo a Terex, but they ultimately felt that the Altec units operated more efficiently. And then over the past 30 years, I believe the department has had 5 Altec units in their fleet, and they've been satisfied with their performance and durability. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, I'd request that you authorize the purchase of the 2026 Altec bucket truck.
I have a question. So what kind of lead time are we looking at? Considering that this one was, for Resolution 35, was 2021 to
Yeah.
It was
2020.
39 months on that. We're looking at a build probably tail end of 2026, so around a 2-year build time.
Okay.
We decided to go with a split, buying the chassis from Cell King local, which that was the problem with our truck one, was waiting for that international chassis, because it just arrived in August. So it took 3 full years for that chassis to arrive for the truck to be built. So we decided to help expedite that by going through local Cell King, through their Fort Wayne office. They were able to secure a chassis, so it should give us fourth quarter of 2026, which is about right, 2-year build time, so. We thought we'd try it this way and see. That way we know we have a chassis sitting there, instead of them calling every 6 months and saying, we don't have one.
So Cell King will put the two pieces together for you?
No, Altec,
Altec
well, they're
will.
just, the truck delivery will come through Cell King, and they will just have it shipped to Altec, and then the truck will get built there.
How long will this vehicle last?
10?
Should be in the same
10,
10, 12 years. I mean, we'll just have to evaluate that
Right.
at that
So another
point.
10, 12 years from now, it won't be 39 months maybe, or maybe, who knows? But I'm guessing COVID was probably the issue.
How long have you had the truck that this one will replace?
It was in 2012.
12,
Yep.
yes, sir.
12, typical 12 years.
Yep. And we were, it was gonna be in 2025 budget anyways, but with truck one taking as long as we did, we thought we would investigate it 2024 and just see, because they were talking 4-year lead time. So they have come down a lot, I think, like I said, with us having possession of the chassis quicker, that's gonna help us, so. See how this goes.
I assume there'll be some change orders involved in this one too.
Well, we can hope not.
Hope
Yeah, we hope not.
Hope not either.
Have your inspection?
So will the plan be to trade in the old number from 2012?
We haven't like worked that deal
You haven't
out
worked
with
that yet?
them.
Okay.
We do have the avenue of using the gov deals to, you know,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
auction it off
or auction it off?
Mhm.
Okay,
So I guess we haven't really
thought that far
delved into
ahead.
that yet.
Okay.
I see this has a rear camera,
Yes.
a nice size one with options. What about side cameras? Are there any, is that an issue when you guys are out? You've got your riggers out and,
Hasn't really been, you know, the rear has been a real nice option for backing up the trailers or just, again, you're backing into tight alleys and missing cars and things that are parked, so the rear camera really is, it's a pretty nice screen and that you guys can see, so. They can actually even leave it on when they're rolling down the road too, you know, they're going forward.
that's nice. I know they're putting side cameras on cars now using the side view mirrors, which is a nice feature. I just wondered if that was an option in this, maybe it's not even.
I don't believe it is, but it may be.
I was just thinking
Yeah.
for safety's sake, that would be a good feature.
We still can talk to the international people to see if that's something that's available.
Yeah,
Because we haven't obviously purchased the chassis yet, so, yeah,
yeah.
I'll make note of that.
Just thought about that over the weekend and,
Yeah.
okay.
Hey Buck, how old is the truck that we're replacing this?
It's a 2012.
12.
Any comments, questions anymore? Motion to approve then.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I will second it.
Jim,
Yes.
Annette,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, good.
Item 7 is a discussion and election of 2025 APA officers, chair and vice chair.
With your permission, I have something I'd like to bring up for discussion.
Sure. Jim?
It was just about a year ago, it was brought up about going to a rotation system on appointing the chair and vice chair. I guess, as I recall, 4 of the 5 board members at the time voted for it and it was approved.
I guess hindsight being 2020, I question, because I guess I was under the opinion that the council was operating that same way, and I found out that that's not the case. Another thing of concern for me is the fact that next fall in the elections, 4 of the 5, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, 4 of the 5 board seats are going to be open. And Annette will be the only board member that's going to be assured of, I don't want to say being here for lack of a better description. And from what I understand, the way this rotation will go, Annette would be a logical next person to sit as board chair. And I guess what I'm asking for the discussion on is if the board would be better served, and please don't take this as any criticism of your ability, I don't mean it that way, is if we would be better holding off appointing Annette to chair until possibly what would be 26, when we know the position will be in that we'll have a experienced board member to hold the seat. Just a discussion. And I just, like I say, I guess in my own mind, I would, if I were making a recommendation, I would recommend that we'd rescind that rule for the rotation, because I don't, the way things are, I don't see it's necessary, personally.
It's kind of a good point. I never thought of, because I was opposed to it last year. Was Annette moves up to the chair with the 4 board seats. I don't know who's going to be vice chair. Let's say, hypothetical, it's Bob. Bob's seat is up with 3 other seats. You're possibly going to have a whole new board. So if Bob is vice chair and he's progressed to move up, what happens?
One thing that could happen is Annette could be chair a second time around. There's nothing that prevents her from being chair 2 years in a row. That is an option. So we would have an experienced board member and an experienced chair, actually, too. So that's something to think about as well. I'll throw that out there on the table. There's no rule that says you can only serve as chair one time and then...
That would violate the rotation, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because it wouldn't,
Yeah.
We can
it
deal
would
that
have to
at
be
the-
nominated, correct?
Well, those are what ifs and
I
you
guess
deal
that's
with
why
those
I'm asking
things
about
at the
rescinding
time.
it, because if that were the case then, I mean, if we would rescind the rule, then something like that could happen. I mean, it's happened in the past.
That's one of my comments last year was I made some what ifs and was pretty much said we'll deal with those at the time when those happen.
And another thing too that I had thought about, and please Annette, don't take this wrong, because I mean no disrespect. You are the only board member that's still working a full-time job. What if we lose our director? Hypothetically, if we lose our director,
Well, it's happened. Trust me, it's happened. More than once.
the board chair becomes the interim director. In other words, you have to be here every day, you know, to oversee the utility like Jim and I did. I mean, that would be a concern to me, but
How did it happen that 4 people come up for reelection? Typically, I was thinking to myself that typically you try to avoid that just because of this conversation.
There's
it
two.
was 3.
Every 2 years, there's an election, okay?
Right,
And
okay.
there's 3,
There's 3 and 2.
yeah, right.
3 and 2.
Okay,
Dick and I and Karen were in one election,
right,
and Annette
and Tom.
and Tom were in the other one. You were appointed,
Right,
okay?
because
Since
Tom
you
didn't
were
run.
appointed, you'll be involved in the next, please answer again. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I got caught up in that one time too. Is since you were appointed, even though it'll only be your second year, you'll have to participate in the next election and be reelected.
Is that something that can change?
No, so it's a state election law.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it's also in our charter that if there's an appointment, that seat has to be up for reelection in the next municipal cycle.
I understand.
So-
I was just curious, typically,
Yeah.
you never see 4 people come up
The
at
same
one
thing's
time.
happening with
It's-
council because of Mr. Oswald's appointment too, so it'll be 4. The only one left is Mr. Rosenblatt. But then it does recycle back, right? Because I believe you had to run.
I did.
Because you
I-
didn't run and then we reappointed you.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Right.
In 2018, so he had to run in 2020.
Right.
And then also in 22, but 22 was for the 4-year term. So he's now back on the cycle that he should be on. Your seat won't be back on cycle until the end of 28, or beginning of 28. So, yes, I understand. It's supposed to be a 3-2 split, but when
Yeah,
there
I
are
understand.
appointments.
I mean, to me, the system should be designed that you're not gambling everything in one election for everybody. You're gonna
Correct.
lose a tremendous amount of, potentially, knowledge and experience that would just be
Completely
detrimental.
understand. Yep, completely understand, but it is law that, and also in our charter, that you have to go on the next municipal cycle election, which is every 2 years, when there's an appointment for that seat.
So this is an unusual situation.
Yes, and unfortunately, it's happening to the board and the council at the same time.
No. Fun.
Fun.
I mean, I'd love to see it go back to the nomination and the vote by your peers. That way, let's say Annette moves up to board chair. If there's a board change, then you could be nominated. You would think that your other 4 inexperienced board members would vote you in to be board chair because you have the most experience, the leadership. It's just my opinion. Could I make a motion to rescind last year's, the December 29th decision by Mr. Sproul
Yes, we can.
and go
Put
back?
before us a motion to rescind.
I'd like to make a motion we rescind.
I'll second.
Dick,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Karen,
No.
Annette,
No.
and Bob.
No.
Motion does not carry. Annette will become chair by the provisions in that motion from last year. And we will move to nominations for vice chair. Floor is open for nominations. I'll nominate Bob Eyre. Any other motions? Nominations closed. Bob Eyre's been nominated for vice chair. Motion to approve. Vote.
So move.
I'll second it.
Dick,
Yes.
Annette,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
Congratulations, Bob.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
You're an old man now.
I feel old.
You get a better seat.
Item 8,
Closer to
act on
fire.
any other pertinent year-end business.
I don't
Terry?
have any business to act on, but I just want to share that I did receive a letter from the mayor of the city of Newberry, South Carolina, thanking the electric department for their mutual aid efforts. So before you leave this morning, if you want to stop and read this. Thank you.
Very nice. Any other business, anyway? Okay. Next up, item 9 on the agenda is to effect semi-monthly disbursements. Motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills.
I'll say. Go ahead, Jim.
Jim,
Yes.
Annette,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
We have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Annette,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and Dick.
Before
Dick?
did we get a new line worker? Any?
Did we adjourn?
He has to technically adjourn.
Yeah. I didn't know if there was any, gonna go around the room for discussion thing, or
Was not on the agenda to do so,
Okay.
but you're welcome to
Won't say
bring it up
another
and ask a question. You're welcome to do so.
I'm done. Yes.